Yes, I can hear you. I can
Are
hear
you
you.
ready to present your material, your lecture? Okay.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Navarette,
Yes.
time is yours.
Yes, thank you. Can you share my screen? Please, can you disable?
Okay.
Hello?
Yes. Okay, please, you can share your
Okay.
screen.
Can you see that?
Yes, sir, very well.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry for the bit of a problem with the connection, but I'm very thankful that Universitas Brawijaya invited me, Sharul. Hi, Sharul, for this opportunity. And so Sharul asked me to present about the organic fertilizer technology and practices in the Philippines. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly,
Okay.
we can clearly hear you.
Thank you so much. So I'm glad to share to students about this organic fertilizer technology and practices in the Philippines. So more than ever, the quest to change the landscape have been driven by the desire to supply the ever-increasing demand for food. Population growth is so fast. About 10,000 years ago, agriculture started in slash and burn agriculture, where man lived from one place to the other and then plant. And then over the course of the century, there was this technological advancement, there was this fertilizer, and there was this mechanization. So there was really advances in agriculture in order for us to produce food. Now, if you notice, our cropland of the world is ever increasing. The area devoted for cropland is increasing in many areas in Africa, in South America, in North America, and even in European areas. The cropland is increasing every now and then. Now, with this increase in population, there is also this increase in nitrogen use. This red, this black dotted line is the consumption of nitrogen in agriculture. So there is a linear relationship between population growth and the use of fertilizer. And on the right side graph, you will notice that there is this increasing of fertilizer prices over the last couple of years. In other words, our agriculture is solely dependent on nitrogen use. Now, because of this production of fertilizer, there is now a disappearing nutrient, a big environmental consequence, which is this the loss of rock phosphate, which are being used for agriculture. So this disappearing nutrient is non-renewable, and it takes a century before, thousands of years before it can be mined again. Now, this is a clear picture of how man disturbed the soil. And this slide shows us that in an undisturbed soil, there is this good cycle of nutrients, meaning that whatever is in the soil, it goes back again, and this cycle continues. However, with of soil through agricultural land use, there is this factor of soil erosion because there is too much use of the soil, and then through very high rainfall, rainfall, there is this erosion. In other words, the top surface soil, which is fertile, is removed, is washed away, and the remaining soil is already very poor in nutrients. And therefore, it is less likely to support sustainable agriculture. So this is the premise now, because the fertility of the soil is very low. So therefore, man has to increase application of synthetic fertilizer, or the so-called inorganic fertilizer. So the question is, can we revert this process, the loss of the fertility of the soil? And this is where the organic agriculture comes into perspective. The goal of organic agriculture is to contribute to the enhancement of sustainability. But what does sustainability means? In the context of agriculture, sustainability refers to the successful management of agricultural resources to satisfy human needs. In other words, it has to be sustainable so that humans can, over generations and generations, can sustain, and therefore maintaining or enhancing the quality of the environment and conserving natural resources for future generation. So in this context, we're talking about sustainability over long periods of time. Now, sustainability in organic farming must therefore be a holistic approach, which includes ecological, economic, and as well as social dimensions. So holistic in the sense that it produces all the quality to make a very sustainable agriculture on the premise to produce a safe food for humanity. Now, there are several definitions in terms of the farming system. So if you see the upper portion, it's traditional agriculture. This is a farming method before agrochemicals was being introduced, before high yielding varieties were introduced, and before mechanization was introduced. Now from here, there is these branches of agriculture. There is the other one on the left side is sustainable agriculture, and on the right side, the conventional agriculture. The difference is big because conventional agriculture uses monoculture of high yielding varieties, the use of fertilizer and pesticides, and on the other hand, sustainable agriculture. This is the agricultural systems which are clearly defined, aiming for a sustainable land use. And this clearly resulted to organic agriculture. So organic agriculture is based on the agroecological principles. So you have the agriculture as well as the ecological function of the soil, and focuses on soil fertility and plant health. And this is the new use of agrochemicals. In simple terms, this organic agriculture is just the recycling of materials of waste products or farm products from the field, goes uh, and then recycled again, and it goes back to the field. So in this sense, there is this sustainability in terms of agricultural production. Now, if you notice that in recent years, there is this increasing demand for certified organic food in different parts of the world. Now, if you notice in this map, it shows clearly that Australia and Oceania has the highest land area devoted for organic agriculture. And next is this Europe, which is about 5. The other is Latin America. But take note and notice that Asia, only 0.6 million hectares have been devoted for organic agriculture. And perhaps the reason is very simple. Asia is, it's still new, I guess, but it's over the years, people needs more quality food. And therefore, we can see that Asia will be becoming stronger and stronger in producing organic food in the near future. Now, the global organic food market is also ever increasing over the last 15 years. Since 2000 until 2015, we see an increase in the production of organic foods, which is accounted for about 6 times higher than in the early uh, uh, 2000, year 2000. In other words, the global market is increasing and increasing and increasing. And I think there is no turning back on this trend. And so also here in organic agriculture, there is this also this increasing organic matter content uh, in the soil. So the carbon sequestration also of farming systems, organic farming system is so high that it is about 26 percent in terms of the organic with animal manure application. But take note for the conventional agriculture, the carbon sequestration potential is negative point, negative 30, negative 4%, suggesting that there is losses in the system in terms of soil carbon. Now, there are several myths about organic agriculture. So if you notice here in this graph, there is this yield, the brown and the green one. Now, in marginal rain-filled lands, most of the yield is only about 3 tons per hectare, this red line here. But with irrigated fertile land, the production is from above 3 to 7 tons per hectare. Now, this variation can be increased, can be enhanced by application of organic fertilizer. Now, in organic fertilizer, there is this transition, meaning there is a lag phase. So there is the decline in this transition period. It is expected that the yield of crops becomes low, but over the span of about 3 to 4 years, you will see an increasing yield. And this is depending on how much you apply organic fertilizer uh, in the field. Now, having said that, in the Philippine context, there is this prospects of organic agriculture in the Philippines. This topic is somewhat new, but a lot of farms in the Philippines are now focusing on organic uh, farms. There are a lot because simply because the demand is also getting higher and higher. More people are more health conscious. They wanted organic food, but then again, the only disadvantage is that the prices of this commodity is quite high relative to the conventional product. So what is organic agriculture? So organic agriculture promotes the ecologically sound, socially acceptable, economically viable, and technically feasible production of food. And it reduces internal inputs. These inputs is in the form of chemical fertilizer, pesticides, and even pharmaceuticals relative to animals. It also covers areas such as soil fertility management, varietal breeding, and selection under the chemical pesticide condition. It also enhances productivity without destroying the soil and harming farmers, consumers, and the environment. In other words, the organic agriculture is really perfect for people in terms of reproduction of food. Now, as I've said, the organic agriculture is quite new in the country. It is just about 10 years ago, after the passage of this Organic Agricultural Act of 2010. So that is about 10 years ago. And this organic agriculture is being popularized by the passage of this law. So this is a law already, an act that promotes the use of uh, uh, organic fertilizer in the agricultural system. Even the national government has devoted a program which is called the National Organic Agricultural Program, again, to intensify, to enhance farmers to adopt to organic agricultural program. And in many newspapers, in many articles, organic farming is said to be the future of Philippine agriculture. And so here you will notice that this is the map of the Philippines where you can find this blue dots here, where you can find some of the known and registered third-party organic farms in the country. Not that much, but I guess it's increasing and increasing and increasing the demand. In our local place, one of my study area in Leyte, where I live, we visited some farms which are really practicing organic agriculture for the last 5 years. So this is one of a very good example of how organic farming is flourishing in the area. So on the left side, you can see the aerial photograph of the farm. And this is where I made some lectures about soil fertility. And you can see here also the lettuce is growing. And all of this, the farmer utilizes chicken dung as fertilizer. And he is also one of the many growers of strawberry, which can only be grown in temperate areas. So this man is really promising that he produces a lot of strawberry. Um, Here is also a very good example of how chicken dung is being incorporated into the agricultural system. So it's growing very good, and it's simply because of this the use of uh, chicken dung. We also visited one of my area is this uh, which planting farmers planted here pineapple. So very innovative way. They don't use any fertilizer except organic. So from chicken manure and carabao manure. The good thing is that they practice this farmer monocropping, contour farming, and it's even a site tourism, ecotourism uh, area. So here it was seen that upon addition of organic fertilizer, there was a bit a change of the uh, soil biodiversity. The earthworm population is uh, becoming high and higher relative to the relative to the uh, samples which uh, so So some farmers here, they also practice their innovative way of preparing extracts from different plants in order to make some organic uh, fertilizer. So in this case, a simple plant called Aranchis pintoi, which is very common in the area, is being subjected to different processes, and the end product is extract which can be utilized, which can be applied to plants in order to increase production. So these are some local byproducts or organic or foliar fertilizer which have been produced in our school. So there are also several combinations of liquid organic foliar fertilizer, which is uh, used in the uh, farming system. One of which is this fermented plant juice. Aerobic bokashi is also being used. Another is that there's also this effective microorganisms activated solution. So most of this can be prepared by uh, locals whenever the materials are available. Now, over the years, as I've said, the organic agriculture in the country is promising, and the face of this organic program is this man here, seen in the picture. This is Ronald Costales, one of the strong advocate of organic farming in the Philippines, and he is the man responsible for the adoption of many farmers across the country in terms of the use of organic fertilizer. In his farm, he also produces healthy food, which is grown organically, not only plants, but he is also producing pigs and chickens and other animals which are all fed with organic materials. So in this table, I'm showing the comparison of mean yield of rice in 2017. Now you'll notice the first column on the left side is the island. This is the three major islands in the country. The second column from the left is the Masipag organic, which is the organic farming system. The third column is the Masipag conversion. And the last column is actually the chemical farming. Now, you will notice that in this table, you will notice that there is no significant differences between organic farming as well as chemical farming. In other words, organic farming is more or less the same as comparable relative to chemical fertilizer. And this holds true across the different islands. So there is no much big difference, no significant difference. Now also, in terms of net agricultural income, there is a big difference between organic as well as between organic and the chemical farming. So the net income is actually very high in organic farming relative to chemical farming. One potential reason to this very high in terms of net agricultural income is that the organic products or produce are more they are more expensive relative to the chemical farming system, and because the farmers put premium on the food which is grown organically. So there is this, although there is a big difference, but relatively there is high, in general, there is high net agricultural income in the organic farming system relative to the chemical fertilizer. This is another a gross sale comparison between organic and conventional. You will notice that there is about 5 to 6 times higher gross sales in the diversified organic farming system relative to the conventional. So again, the reason to this is there is more premium. There is the difference in high price of the organic products than the conventional farming system. So several farmers, only there is about 18%, close to 19% were adopted already of the organic farming in the country, more than 10 years. But a quite large fraction is farmers which are adopting about 1 to 3 years of organic farming systems. Now, what are the motivating factors to this? So there are, again, because of the Organic Agricultural Act, there were several seminars on organic agriculture. There is, the farmers said that it's cheaper cost of inputs. There is also for health reasons, which is very nice. About 17% says it's for health reasons. The other, which is I'm very much interested, is that about 19% said need to bring back soil fertility. So in other words, farmers had already the appreciation that when they applied organic fertilizer, it increases the fertility of the soil. And only a small fraction, 2%, said they practice organic agriculture because for environmental considerations. So most of the organic practices is use of organic fertilizer, use of vermicast, as well as use of botanical pesticides. Now, there are several observed effects of organic farming practices on soil conditions of the farm. More than 100% said it ensures food safety and health of farmers and consumers, while only a handful of about 21% said soil acidity decreases and enhances biodiversity. So in other words, application of organic materials can can improve biodiversity in the soil, which is a good indicator of soil quality. And also, some consumers' perception of about organic food products, it said that about 44% said organic food products are safe to eat. And this is where most people are indicating that most of the people are now becoming health conscious. But a large portion said, I do not see benefits of organic foods. So meaning that there is still more way to come, more information drive that needs to be put in place so that this can drive more adoption to farmers. So what are the technologies that we have done in order to convert biological waste to organic fertilizer? Commonly, there are two types of methods that are practically used in the Philippines. One is vermicomposting, and the other one is the simple composting process. So there is a quite big difference to this because for vermicomposting, this is a picture which it took in the school. This is our vermicomposting facility, and we utilizes the African nightcrawler, the Eudrilus eugenia species, and the byproduct of this is the so-called vermicast, which can actually be used for fertilizer. So depending on the material or the substrate that is being used, it will also influence the quality and quantity of the vermicast that is produced. The other process is composting, so which is generally a very old concept also of turning waste material into fertilizer. So what is compost? It's a mixture of raw materials and feedstock is piled and decomposed by action of mainly aerobic bacteria through the high temperature stages. So this high temperature is caused by the thermophilic bacteria, which enhances decomposition. So the completed compost is easily to handle and store, ready to be applied to soil without causing any harmful effects to the environment. So this is the good premise of composting. So compost is also a solid mature product resulting from composting, which is managed process of bioxidation of solid heterogeneous organic substrate, including thermophilic phase. So what is the purpose of composting? Definitely to enhance, to make manure easy for handling, because handling is very problematic for waste materials, and also to prevent soil reduction and emission of harmful gases. The other is also to kill pathogens and parasites for human, animals, and plants. It also kills the weeds, seeds, which are mixed in feces, and to decompose phenolic compounds, feedstock such as straw and sawdust, and low molecular weight organic acids in feces, which are assumed to cause growth inhibition of the plants. Now, there are several factors which affect composting. One of which is very important is the moisture. The recommended moisture content of the composting material is between 65 to 75%. Aeration, aeration is also very important because microorganisms, aerobic microorganisms requires oxygen. So therefore aeration should be practiced. The initial pH is also should be greater than 6, and the initial C/N ratio should fall between 25 to 30. The other factor which is also very important is the temperature. Now, during the composting process, the temperature increases, and when it falls during this turning process, so you have to turn the material upside down, and then you will notice this drop in the temperature, and again it increases, and upon turning the temperature decreases and the process continues. But over the days of filing, you will notice a decrease in the temperature. Now, this figure shows the degradation rate of each component. So there are 3 stages of decomposition. The first stage is the saccharide decompositions. So these are easily decomposable materials the proteins, amino acids, and the carbohydrates. This is the first stage of decomposition. Only materials that can easily be decomposed, even including here the low molecular acids is being decomposed. The second phase or the second stage is the cellulose and the hemicellulose decomposition, which is this red. And over the course of the decomposition or the degradation, the last stage of decomposition is the lignin. So lignin is more stable than cellulose and hemicellulose and saccharide. And so therefore, this indicates that the lignin is the last to be decomposed in the decomposing process. Now, upon decomposition, there is also change in the organic matter composition. So you'll notice the easily decomposable carbohydrates protein are very high at the early stage of decomposition, but then over the decomposition process, hemicellulose decreases also, and the last stage, the lignin also decreases over the decomposition process. So there are also several microorganisms that are responsible for the decomposing process. So the early stage, these are the Mesophilic bacteria. Now, these are very active at the early stage of the decomposition. As soon as decomposition progresses, the microbes population changes to thermophilic bacteria. Thermo means high. It creates a temperature of about 70 to 80 degrees. So at this stage, the thermophilic bacteria is very active. When this is done, the last microbes that will attack is the fungi and the mushrooms, as well as some of the actinomycetes. Now, there are several indications of compost maturity. Mature compost is a material in which biological activity has been slowed. So this biological activity can be seen from the changes, the decrease in the temperature of the composting process. So all the easily degraded molecules have been broken down, leaving the complex organic material behind. And also a mature compost is fine in texture. They are dark in color and rich in earthy smell, often characterized by mature compost. Now, the other indicator of compost maturity is the presence of ammonia, ammonium and ammonia. So when this ammonia is high in the system, in the compost, it indicates that it's still maturity, because this is the byproduct of the decomposition of amino acids. Now, when the temperature is high, you will notice that nitrate will also increase. So relative to, in terms of maturity, the nitrate is an indication that the compost is already mature. The other indication is that the changes in the temperature. When the temperature is slowly decreasing and decreasing and decreasing, it indicates that the decomposition process is almost complete, as thermophilic microbes is decreasing and decreasing. The other indication of maturity is also this pH. At the early stage of the decomposition, there is this increase in salt in the compost pH, but relatively over the course of the decomposition or the composting process, the pH stabilizes to around 6. There is also another way and very practical method to determine if the compost is mature or not. This is what we call the plastic bag method. What we'll do here is that you need only a cellophane or a plastic, and then you place some portion or a small amount of compost into the plastic. And when the compost is immature, the plastic will inflate, suggesting that there is still high CO2. The inflation of this plastic bag is caused by the CO2 in the. The other method is to determine the compost maturity is the earthworm method. So put a compost sample in a cup, place some earthworms on it. If the earthworm creeps into the compost, it is mature. If they try to escape, it is immature. So skipping is another indication, strong indication that the compost is still mature. So earthworm escapes if your compost does not taste good. So the other way to determine the compost maturity is the germination test. So very commonly used as seeds is kumatsuna, which is the brassica or the radish. They are used because they are small, they're easy to germinate, and they are quick to germinate. And most importantly, they are sensitive to phytotoxic substances like organic acids. So using the water extract of the compost, germinating rate is compared with the control with the distilled water. So here, this is a picture of how a germination test is being conducted. But you will notice in the second week, there is already red in the petri dish, which indicates failure in the composting process, meaning that the compost is still immature because it still contains some phenolic acids, which cause the seeds to be rotten. We have also compost standards in the Philippines. In fact, in 2016, there was new guidelines for compost standards in the country. So in these compost standards, there are two basic important things. The organic fertilizer, there's a big difference between organic fertilizer and the compost or soil conditioner. So the difference is only set on the total nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in the material. If the material has 5 to 10% organic, total N, P2O5, and K2O, it means organic. Less than that, it's already called compost or soil conditioner or soil enhancer. The rest, they have more or less the same value. Also, there is also a low level of pathogens for solid and liquid organic fertilizer. For example, here, one of the pathogens that is very common is fecal streptococci. It should be less than 5 times 10 to the second coliforming units per gram. Total coliform should also be less than 5. Salmonella, it should be absent in 25 grams of the material. So these are set by the Philippine National Standard. Another important thing in the standard is that the heavy metals is also being regulated here. For example, for arsenic, it should be 20 milligrams per kilogram of dry weight. Lead, it's 50. Chromium is 150. Mercury is 2. Cadmium is high. You might be, this value might be a misconception because this is actually uh, very high values. And therefore, the standard is set at a very high values in terms of the allowable limits. Now, this is an example of layout labeling for bags and sachet. So in other words, when you produce an organic material, you should legibly put all the information necessary for the labeling of the product. Among this is there should be an analysis of the nitrogen, the phosphorus, potassium, and as well as the CN ratio. And then the other thing is that in the sample labeling also for bottles and cartons, there should also be indication of the contents of the nitrogen, phosphorus, as well as potassium. So there is this complete identification of material in terms of its nutrient content. So here I will discuss a bit about the benefits of the compost. So there are known benefits. its plant available nutrients and micronutrients. As compost breaks down in soil, it provides the fertilizer nutrient of nitrogen, phosphate, and potassium. Compost functions also as slow release fertilizer because it stores nutrients so that nutrients are available to plants as they require them. The organic matter is also organic matter in compost increases the water holding capacity in the soil. So therefore, addition of organic matter can enhance storage of water in the soil. Compost also lightens heavy soil, and organic matter retains moisture and nutrients. Soil structure is also improved, allowing effective drainage, intensive root growth, and soil aggregate stabilization. So this is the so this is the hierarchical structure of the aggregate. So the aggregate is actually formed by binding of the particles. Now, organic matter is also there are plant growth promoting effect on the organic matter because there is the hormone-like action, and this hormone-like action is because of the indole acetic acid, which is it enhances growth for the plants. The second is abate the disorder under cold or regular weather. And number three, stable production under deficit or excess of nutrients. So here you have increases in other words, increases in the yield. So compost can also can be very important in the biological activity. Earthworm activity is encouraged so that further it enhances fertility. Compost supplies a range of microorganisms that enhance the health of both soil and crops. Compost appears to suppress some type of plant disease, as well as compost will be a food for heterotrophic soil microbes and support life. In other words, with this very important function of the compost, this can be used for the rehabilitation of degraded lands, which is very widespread in the country, as can be seen in this illustration. So lastly, if compost is used in agriculture, in other words, organic agriculture, it enhances also the soil health of the soil, and therefore it also produces a healthy soil and for a healthy life. So thank you very much for listening. Charul?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. It is very well presentation. From your presentation, I can highlight the organic agriculture, organic fertilizer in this case aims to sustainability agriculture, which include ecological, economics, and social aspect, which we are in Brawijaya University do the same thing. Hopefully, we can have collaboration later. And it becomes the future farming in Philippines. I'm very happy to hear that organic fertilizer is the future farming in your country. Hopefully, it can be done here in Indonesia also. And it because organic farming is safe to environment, cheaper in production costs, and can improve soil fertility and so on. I do agree with you, sir. Okay. And then now we are in the discussion session. For anyone who want to ask some question, please raise your hand. Several students have raising their hand. For the first, maybe Hana Shifa Salsabila. Please, yeah, turn on your microphone. Then directly ask to Dr. Nafaret.
Okay, thank you. My name is Hana Shifa. Good morning, everyone. I want to ask about what exactly prohibited us with us archive sustainable agriculture using organic farming? Because we know that organic farming is for sustainable agriculture, but I think we have some problem for this one and how to fix it from you. What is exactly is prohibited for us? Thank you.
Sorry, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yeah, Dr. Navarat,
Yes.
please answer Hannah's question. Oh,
I did not get the last one.
The prohibited of organic fertilizer in sustainable agriculture, I guess. The problem to apply organic fertilizer
Okay.
in sustainable
One of the
agriculture.
biggest problem of organic agriculture is that the sources of organic materials, in my opinion, it can only be done in a small scale, but never on a large scale. If you have 10 acres of land, 10,000 hectares of land, it is impractical and very impossible for organic agriculture to be done. But on a smaller scale, I think it's feasible.
Okay. Thank you, Dr.
Get it?
Navarat.
Okay.
Is this answer your question, Hannah?
Hannah?
Hannah, can you unmute your microphone?
Yes. Sorry. Okay. Thank you. I think it can answer my question. Thank you, Dr. Navarat.
Hannah. And then the second student who want to ask the question is Sahrul Setiawan. Okay, Sahrul
Yes.
Setiawan, please.
Okay, thank you. Is my voice is clear? My voice
Yeah,
is clear?
I can hear.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for your lecture, Miss Prof. Navaret. I'm so glad to hear and very happy to hear you convey the material about the state of organic farming practice there. In Indonesia, my question is first, in Indonesia, we began to realize that organic fertilizer and sustainable agriculture application were needed when there was a failure in the Green Revolution program. So my question is, when the Philippine people begin to realize that the application of organic farming or the use of organic fertilizer is sustainable in sustainable agriculture was very beneficial for the environment. What incident or what kind of event was the turning point of that awareness in the Philippines? Thank you, Mister. That's my question.
Sharul, I totally and completely agree with you that the changes from the conventional agriculture to organic agriculture was because there was a failure in the Green Revolution. So in the early 70s in the Philippines, there was a massive promotion of the Green Revolution program because government provides subsidy, provides fertilizer, pesticides, and even good seeds they provided. But then again, the question is, what happened now? So it was not sustainable. The concept was not sustainable. And so the production of food is become a big trouble. And in recent years, the turning point is that there are many people now are more health conscious because of the emergence of so many diseases. And the turning point, actually, the permacomposting was done in the early 80s, but it was just only in 2010 that the government realizes that, oh, hey, there is a need for us to pass a law, and this law is called the Organic Agricultural Act of 2010. And 2010 was again the turning point of organic agriculture revolution in the country. Of course, during that period, there is some hesitation. Farmers don't adapt that much. But again, uh, the number of farmers who are adopting this organic farming is increasing and increasing. And another reason for this increasing is because of the social media. A lot of promotions in the social media about where you can buy organic foods, healthy foods in the country. And again, it is important to realize that social media is a strong driver for the adoption because it drives demand for organic food. And again, I hope I answered your question, Shireen.
Thank you, Dr.
Sharul?
Nafaret. Shahrul, is that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. So the use of vermiculture is one of the fertilizer, which is the turning point on there. And I also agree that social media is one of the factor in spreading awareness of a healthy environment. Thank you, Prof. Nafaret, for your answer.
Thank you, Saru. So it's your turn to spread out organic fertilizer, organic farming to your community. Well, the next question comes from Laili Rahmadani. Laili Rahmadani, please turn on your microphone.
Yes. Good morning, Miss Natalia and Mr. Navarrete. I want to ask you because in organic agriculture, you say we didn't use any chemical pesticide, and I want to ask how we overcome the pest and plant disease if we didn't use any chemical pesticides. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. One basic requirement of organic agriculture is that it does not use any inorganic pesticides. There's no use of inorganic fertilizer. And so before your area can be classified as organic, it should be free from impurities. So a lot of farmers are devising to address pests. So they are actually making some concoctions, mixture of plants that can actually be applied to suppress or to control pests. So one basic example is the use of chili pepper. I think Indonesian loves chili pepper. So farmers just make concoctions mixed with some materials, and then it's sprayed in the field. Of course, there are a lot of other plant materials that can be used to control pests. The other thing is that they also, some farmers here they use the old method which they practice is the use of the moon. So they have some old knowledge on the relationship between, this is not scientific, but a lot of farmers utilizes this. They have really particular time or period of the month that they think it's better for planting.
Thank you, Dr. Nafaret. Laili, is that answer your question?
Yes, thank you for your answer, Mr. Navarrete.
So maybe it's kind of we make organic pesticide beside organic fertilizer, and also in Indonesia here we also sometimes we also use moon as the calendar of planting. Yeah. Maybe it is local knowledge, but it's important for us to learn further about this.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. I agree.
Next question comes from Tamariska Adinda. Tamariska Adinda, please turn on your microphone.
Okay, good morning. My name is Tamariska Adinda, and I want to ask, if I want to apply organic farming, do my environments matter in this case? If my neighbor doesn't apply organic farming and they still use chemical fertilizers, will my crops be affected? Because I'm a vegetarian and I do really have a high concern to my health.
Okay. Yeah, cool. It's nice. Thank you. Again, there is restriction. There is this threshold level. There is this classification that your field should be free from impurities. When I say impurities, it's from the pesticide as well as the inorganic fertilizer. Now, if your field is, your neighbor is practicing the conventional agriculture, then I think your field is not or cannot be classified as organic, because some of the impurities, for example, during pesticide application, some drips of the mist of the fertilizer will also go to your field. Also, when it's when your field is very adjacent to the conventional agriculture, then some of the runoff when it's raining, it will also goes to that your field, and so therefore your field is contaminated with pesticides as well as. So in other words, you have to put your farm in a place where there is a community or that also accept or practice organic agriculture. Never, it's impossible that you will have a clear distinction because again, there is movement of impurities from the conventional to organic agriculture.
Thank you, Dr. Navarrete. Is that answer your question, Tamariska?
Tama?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That answers my question. Maraming salamat po.
Oh, you know. Terima kasih.
Thank you. And then the next question, none from Zoom, maybe from YouTube. Committee, please record the question that comes from YouTube, from the student who followed this lecture from YouTube. Is there any question from YouTube? Huh?
There?
Okay. Maybe from our lecturer, because it is very great opportunity for us also as a lecturer to improve our lecture note, to improve our lecture material to give the student for the next semester. Okay.
I can share the Nova. I can share the material to you. I can send it.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, sir. Well, for the student, I guess what have been presented by Dr. Navarrete about the practice of organic fertilizer, you can take this as your inspiration to your final thesis or your final research next or so on, because previously Dr. Navarrete talked about a social media effect to spread out the positive effect about organic fertilizer. And then by the end of the discussion session, so we are in the end of the program also. I thank you very much to Dr. Navarrete for your time and your great presentation. We can get so many knowledge, so many new experience. Even we don't come to your country, but we know a lot of practices about organic fertilizer.
I hope some students will also come here to experience. I'm glad.
Yeah, sure, sir. I hope also that we can meet each other very soon with the better situation and the world heal very soon without COVID-19 pandemic. Well, I say thank you very much once more to Dr. Navarrete, to all the lecturers of Soil Science Department who followed this guest lecture, and to the student, your question show your quality, I think. Then thank you very much for becoming with us. And now it's the end of the program. But before, I would like to inform that after this, we will have another agenda, which is greeting for International Relations Officer to Dr. Navarrete with our lecturer here. So Dr. Navarrete, please stay with us for a moment, for about 30 minutes more. Okay. Then for the student, you can leave the meeting once after I close the guest lecture. And finally, once more, I say thank you very much to all of you. Then good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much. For the student, you can leave your meeting.